Well, hello, and welcome to the final Bananamelia session breakdown. We're talking about track 8, B4. It's Shy Blood from the album Bananamelia. I'm Amelia Berry. That's my name. And we've reached the very end. And basically, this, like the session for this track, kicks off as soon as the transition from the previous track hits 160 BPM. So that kind of goes up to here, which means I can end on like a clear bar line without having to do weird stuff with BPM transition curve matching. Ugh. And we've got dueling think breaks that are getting scrunched up with the PCM 2612 that is used at the very end of side A on Colorbox to kind of transition out of Colorbox. We've got the choir pad from Marble Run, the very first track on the album, and we've got this slide guitar thing that if you've listened to the session breakdown for Lemon Magnolia, you'd know is from the very first Ableton session that I ever made, and it is I think a recording of like some guitar messing around that has been bounced and then like heavily filtered, because basically all I have is this like recording from 2014 of it when I was mainly playing guitar and not doing electronic music. So I think that's what it is. Anyway, here it is, and this is how it was cut up for that track. And so I've just kind of like wholesale imported that to be kind of the basis for this. So this is kind of all I had when I was getting started. And then we get just a triangle. That's very classy of me. A very quiet field recording. It's the same one that's used like across the album, basically. My Garden in on New Bond Street, and this extremely like stock chord progression. Yeah, I mean it's like a 2-5-1 in C. But so we've also gone back into the key of C for this track, basically because this is going to sound weird. The idea was that the album was like a kind of a recursive infinite loop, and so you kind of slow down into B flat for the second side of the record, but then at the end it speeds back up into C, and actually you can fit, if you overlap it slightly, you can fit the start and end together, so you get like an endless loop of the album, which nobody's ever going to do that. Why did I do that? No one's ever going to do that. I almost uploaded 10 hours of Bananamelia to YouTube once, and then I was like, this is too much vanity project, even for moi. Yeah, and then we get a fade in of our nice little bossa nova. And then we get our string sound. So we've got all the classic Bananamelia sounds going now. Oh, I love that little bossa nova break. I mean, really like making that kind of cracked the album for me, and I was like, I know what this is gonna sound like. In my head, it shows up in every song, but it doesn't. It just pops its head through the door at kind of key moments. But yeah, we've got this very kind of like mellow, very trad chord progression. A little repeating riff over the top of it.
When I can't sleep, I remember playing ping pong in the milky twilight, cooler waters under summer midnight, and I know.
So that is Madison van Staden singing very beautifully. And the lyrics to this bit are kind of just like extreme nostalgia gore. And I kind of thought, like, coming to the end of the album, the whole album is kind of like a nostalgia, like a nostalgia trip kind of thing. With more of the traditional like melancholy association that nostalgia has, like the kind of like it's like past sickness, rather than the kind of like now version where when people talk about nostalgia they just mean like you're really into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever. This is more like, I guess, like ennui or something. But I thought, kind of like coming to the last track of the album, I knew it would be another one that had singing, and so I kind of wanted it to be like about because like Colorbox is very like now, and it's like talking to you. It's like, what's your favorite color? It's like addressing you directly. And then this one is more like kind of telling you about how I feel.
When I can't sleep, I remember playing ping pong in the milky twilight, cooler waters under summer midnight.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a really sweet. The melody and chords are very sweet, and Maddie's voice is very like pretty, and kind of innocent. But yeah, I don't know. For me, the lyric here is kind of like almost like a kind of like a slightly painful thing, like an anxiety thing. Like it's when you can't sleep, like you're awake at 2 a.m. and you're just thinking about times in the past that were happy, and it's kind of like hurts you to think about it. Yeah, just like kind of sitting around playing ping pong and like going for a swim is the kind of thing that, like, when you're awake with anxiety is like a weird thing that comes to you. I don't know. It's an insight into my psyche there. And then like it ends on that kind of like callback to Colorbox, the and I know. We got the bass come in, which is just the classic Akai test tone. Thank you. Real big shout out to whoever. Someone put like a pitched sample thing of Akai test tone like as a free download on SoundCloud, and I use it on like almost every track on this album, and it is just a sine wave. But is it just a sine wave? It's not, is it? Look, there's things happening. I swear it's not just a sine wave. It's a special magic sine wave. And we got the triangle. And we got the boss break. And we got just one thing, which is panned back into the middle. And then we hit the start of the synth solos, which basically will go for the rest of the track. So I almost feel bad for this track, because I think the song part of it, which only exists for like, as you've heard, like 10 seconds, is really nice. And I think if that were like a whole song, people would be like, oh, Shy Blood is my favorite song on Bananamelia. But no one has ever said that in their life, because as it stands, it exists as like a coda to the album. It's like it's me being like, what happens in a final track? It has all of the bits from the rest of the album, and it has like extended vamping as the mood builds. So it doesn't ever really get to be the whole song that it could be. But I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, the rest of the song is like going over these solos. So what's the first one? What's this? It's I'm pretty sure that's the mini log. I'm pretty sure that's the mini log and not the gen, but I could be wrong. I'm sure that I've said something in the spreadsheet that is more correct than whatever I'm saying now. But it's running through a very cheap knockoff guitar pedal that is like a clone of the MXR Phase 90 that I think sounded fine actually, but was only like $50. This is like the other problem child sound of the record, was getting these like synth solo sounds to be something that I wanted them to be. Alright. And then we get another break come in. We got the Amen. And it's doing the weird pitched stuff that it does in oh my goodness, in French press. It's doing these like weird kind of like pitch up fills. I wouldn't be shocked if some of this was the same cut as in French press. That's just the kind of crazy stuff that I do. Or if it was I pasted in the cut from French press and then heavily modified it to fit the rhythm of this. And then we get the think coming back in over the Amen. Cool. So there is an organ that comes in here that you can't really hear. It kind of just fills out. This is played on the RS-09. It's like a real kind of like. It's almost a very traditional organ sound, but the heavy Roland chorus is like janking it up a little bit. And you can just hear just when it comes in, it kind of like fattens everything out for when the Amen comes. And yeah, so we're just kind of going back and forth between different breaks to kind of build up and pull back tension. So what's next? We got this break that I only ever use under a thick break. I only ever put it under a thick break. And it was previously used in Colorbox. And that is under the think. We got dueling thinks again, left and right. Not two dueling. One is just playing a straight. One is playing the straightest like think. It's not even a cut. I would not call that a break cut, but this one is doing some stuff. And we got my favorite ride. Hello. And then over all of those other breaks, the Amen comes back. And then we've also got solo number 2, which is also heavily phased. I don't know, what is the difference between these? These might be the same sound, and I just had to record them separately for some reason. Maybe I turned the phaser up? I don't know why these are on different tracks. This is basically the same. It's the same, like, voice for arrangement purposes. Like, this is on a different track for some reason. But it's playing this different, kind of more repetitive part. Oh, I love that. That's so, and then suddenly the kind of the ground gets pulled out from under your feet. So we've got this little thing happening on the think. It's reversed. That's cute. I forgot about that. And we got Soul Pride coming in, basically playing the same thing it plays at the end of Color Box. Probably slightly modified, but yeah. I had to get every break that I used in here, so it gets a little moment to shine. The like pitched down kind of like little like honk. Oh, nice. So you can kind of finally hear the field recording again in this section. It has been going under everything, but it's been much more quiet than when it's been used in other tracks. And kind of underneath, we've got a whole lot of organ stuff happening. So, I've got these kind of like fading out. It's everything is kind of fading out here apart from the piano. So they kind of come in all of a sudden. Everything without the lead. All the instruments without the lead. There's like a really... Is it this one? There's like a really kind of weird... Oh yeah, this one, the organ bass. This is a weird kind of low, fuzzy... and these just kind of fade out. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to show off the what is happening in the the harmony section, because I think in tracks with like such a clear lead, I find sometimes you kind of, it's hard just by listening to the overall track to kind of know what's going on with all the like the backing sounds, but they do, and you'd almost be like, well, why even have that there? But it adds like a kind of a weight, like you can feel the things change when they come in and out, even if you can't necessarily like pick it up as a very specific individual part. And so it's all fading out apart from the piano and the bell. And you can hear it's the same part that opens the record. Oh no, I just ruined it. And here is where you would put track 1. So you would have the river sound fading up, and then when the bells come in, it's the same bell. You just have to kind of like overlap them. Yeah, there you go. That's the end. That's the end of Bananamelia. Thank you for listening to me talk about it. I'm sorry if I missed something that you wanted to hear about. I don't know. DM me or something, I guess. Shy Blood. Oh, it's Shy Blood. Shy Blood. It's called Shy Blood. Let's listen to it. Let's chill out. And I'll tell you why it's called. Get out of here. So it's called Shy Blood. It wasn't called anything. And then it was called Shy Blood. Because for whatever reason around this time it became very this is like a weird story, I'm sorry, but it became like really difficult for phlebotomists to find my veins when doing blood tests. And as someone who requires a lot of blood tests, this was very frustrating for me, because I had blood tests and they were fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can't find your vein, oh, we're going to have to try the other arm, oh, we're going to have to try the hand, oh, I'm going to have to get the assistant in here, I'm going to have to get my boss to come and take your blood. And then they always get really stressed out because they're like, when they start prodding you too many times, they think you're going to like pass out. And I'm like, no, I have to do this all the time. Like, don't worry. It takes as long as it takes. Anyway, this had become a large aspect of my life. And I was talking to my friend about it, and they're like, well, why can't they find your veins? And I said, like, well, I guess I just have shy blood. And then I liked that as two words. And I felt like, especially without the drums, this is what Shy Blood sounds like to me. But there we go, that's the album. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful day. And be kind to yourself.